everybody, welcome to another episode of Chamber Chat. I got another special guest in the car today, and I'll let her introduce herself and we'll kick it off from there.
Hey everybody, I'm Helen Higgins. I'm the CEO for the Boys and Girls Club of Corvallis, and you may see a few signs around town. I'm also running for Benton County Commissioner.
That's great. So we'll get into that in a little bit. Everybody sort of knows what the Boys and Girls Club do, but for, the three people that don't know, what's the Boys and Girls Club all about?
So Boys and Girls Club is a youth development organization where we serve kids from basically 5 to 18. We also run sports programs, so we do after school, academic support, job skills training, enrichment. During the summertime we run full day childcare camp type services for about 10 and a half hours a day. So we are your one-stop shop for all things school age youth related.
And what's the qualifier to be in or to be a part of the Boys and Girls
Anybody
Club?
can join.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter whether you live in Corvallis, Benton County, Albany, it doesn't matter. If you can get there, we'll serve you.
Awesome. And how many kids do you serve right now?
Well,
roughly?
Our numbers are starting to come back up, but at our heyday, we had close to 3,000 members. And on any given school day, we were serving about 1,000 kids a day. And then the COVID hit, and when that hit, we dropped down to about 100 to 150 kids. So imagine that. We went from 1,000 to about 100, 150 kids.
And that because of restrictions, or obviously some people pulling them out as well.
Yeah, it was really locked down on who we could serve and how many we could serve, because we were under emergency childcare. But our main purpose was to be there for emergency responders, so that we could, that was kind of our way of helping. Yeah. Because, my nursing skills aren't so great, but we know how to take care of kids. So.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah. So typically, do you skew a different, obviously you cover a wide range of age group. Do they skew a little younger overall, or is it
the bulk of our kids tend to be in that elementary age. But our middle and high school numbers are good. So we probably have about 95 middle and high school kids that come to the club every day. And one of the things that we notice is, especially for like the high school kids, they are coming there because we have programs that are helping them take that next step. So we do a lot of job skills training. We do in-house internships. We do in-house paid internships, which is great because a lot of 15, 16-year-olds can't find a job.
They want some money.
So what we'll do is we'll get them all trained up under the guidance of our staff, and then we've got a program in the summertime that we partner with Benton Community Foundation, and they pay the salaries for kids to work at local employers in the community. So
that's cool.
What we ask the local employers is, we've got you a team that's trained, we're going to help cover the salary, but you need to put them in a job that they're going to keep building their skill set. So don't just park them in the back room and say, here, file papers all day. They can do some of that, but not all day.
Well, and I think one of the cool things is, I think, and I don't know if it's fair to say traditionally, but I think a lot of people view the Boys and Girls Club as, you're gonna go there and you're gonna play games, or it's there's basketball and indoor games, and there's a sort of a rec room type thing. But it's actually, there's a ton of training that goes on as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we call it stealth education, because if you think about it, kids have been in school all day. So the last thing they want to do is come to the Boys and Girls Club, sit down,
sit in a classroom.
So everything that we do through play and projects and is enrichment. And so we kind of sneak the education in, so we get them some extra reading. Like we're doing a program called Reading Rangers. So the idea is to help kids, especially after the pandemic, catch up on their reading. Because think about it, for a kid that had not started school yet, you learn to read in kind of kindergarten, mostly first grade. So if you're an incoming second grader, you have not been in school to actually learn how to read in a classroom setting. So we're finding that kids need a little extra help. So we really kind of view ourselves as being that extra support at the end of the day to help kids with their academics.
Well, and the academics as well, but I think one of the things that you guys provide, which is so valuable, and I have 2 teenagers, so I'm acutely aware of just the social aspect of being in a group of your peers, somewhat not obviously unsupervised, but in an area where they can be a little autonomous, right? And decide what they're going to do and where, and just talking to other kids.
Well, we do everything that we drive around is for student voice. So we really want the kids to have a voice in their club. because it's their club.
Right.
And so, you know, they do projects, they do community service, you know, it's kind of like, what do you guys want to do?
Right.
How do we kind of help lead from the side so that they can develop some of those skills?
Yeah.
So that's where, again, it's not school, it's just a place, especially for kids that don't have access to a lot of the extra enrichment that some of the kids in our community do have access to, you know, but we've got a computer lab, we've got an art center, you know, we've got 2 gymnasiums, as you know. So we do a lot of recreational sports programs. Like for a while we were doing a dodgeball league right during after school programs. So, you know, because again, many of our families, they're working 1 or 2 jobs and they don't have parents that can drive them around to all of the sporting activities. So we wanted to create that environment in the clubhouse and after school when it was easy and accessible and free.
Well, so if I want my kids to go to the Boys and Girls Club, how do I mean, obviously I call you, do they pick up from school? Do I have to drop them off? Is there different options for it?
Yeah, so any kid, like I said, can join.
Sure.
Sign up on our website. If you're requiring scholarship, you just give us a call and, you know, we provide scholarships. So it's pretty inexpensive. It's like for an elementary kid, it's $150 a month to attend, but we have a sliding scale. So we have some kids that pay $5.
Yeah.
We have some kids that don't pay anything.
Right, sure.
And then for at least the Corvallis School District, the buses come from all of the local schools for elementary, middle for Sheldon, and high school, and they drop the kids off at the club. So the only challenge is we don't have transportation home. So again, that can be a little bit of a barrier to get kids home. But I will say we have a fantastic partnership with the Corvallis School District and Dial-A-Bus. And so they really help us make sure that some of our kids that are either, you know, living in shelters or temporary housing, you know, we make sure that they can get home.
Right. So if I'm interested and I don't have to stress about getting my kid from school to the Boys and Girls Club.
Nope, buses
taken care of.
Buses drop them off. Thank you, Corvallis School District.
Yeah, no kidding.
Great partnership.
Hey, where obviously, you know, the facility that you have out there is fantastic. The programming is amazing. Where do you get your funding from? How do you do all that? I mean, because I'm like looking at it, I'm like, how are you doing everything that you're doing?
Yeah, well, I spend a lot of time fundraising.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, so for something that I really don't like to do, in the last 16 years, I've gotten pretty good at it.
Yeah.
But you know, I think that sense of failure is not an option,
right? Because
those doors not opening up on the Boys and Girls Club, that's just unthinkable. So, you know, I've got a very small but effective team of people that help us fundraise, you know, either through sponsorships with businesses or direct giving. I have a grant writer that spends a lot of time writing grants. So, but we have a mixture between our fees and the fundraising. We have to bring in about $1.5 million a year is what we bring in, like, right? Every 12 months, then you hit that rinse and repeat button and you just do it all over again.
That's
then
amazing.
You get challenges like, you know, increase in salary and health insurance. I'm sure you guys are seeing that. I think our insurance went up, I think it was 16% this year, but it keeps doing that every year. So, you know, you think that you've got it covered one year and then things that are outside of your control just keep moving up, and so we just got to keep going.
Yeah, well, but it's weird to say. It's nice to see it, but you can see a tangible use for the funds that are coming in, for the work you guys are doing, and obviously, you know, you're helping some of some of our, I was going to say commodity, they're kids, but you know what I mean, right?
They're our next generation.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and it's the place where, unfortunately, in the U.S., we're not as good as investing in children as we probably could and should be. So, you know, again, the Boys and Girls Club has been in the community since, I think, 1971. It started out as a youth baseball program, and then it just sort of grew, and then it turned into an after-school program over at Franklin School, and then the building that we're currently in opened up in 1997.
Oh, really? Is that old?
Yeah,
oh, okay.
And then we built the Teen Center, so the Center for Youth Excellence opened up in September 2018.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's, you know, definitely when I was looking at the job, you know, because I never thought I'd be working at a Boys and Girls Club. That was not on my career pathway.
Right.
But I had such a passion for serving kids because I was doing that kind of community work. I was on the school board for 5 years, and, you know, I thought, geez, this is a place that I can really have impact. I was getting a lot more, you know, juice out of doing that work. Not that I loved working at HP, just totally loved working at HP. And fun.
A little different then.
It's totally different. You know, it was like, oh man, I would love to go work on behalf of kids and families in our community, and so that's what I've done.
Well, speaking of career change or potential career change, right?
Yeah.
So you threw your hat in the ring.
I did. I am running for Benton County Commissioner. I am running in the primary.
Yep.
So, you know, that's always interesting. I'm learning the politics of politics. So, yeah, you know, my feeling was there was an open seat.
Yeah.
So I threw my name in because it's the right time for me to run.
Right.
When I had thought about this a couple of years ago, but that's when COVID had hit, and there was no way that I could leave the Boys and Girls Club at that point because you know we had pivoted and you know we had business to take care of for the community. But you know, I've really been thinking for a few years. It's like how I would like to have a bigger contribution for broader issues in the community. Mostly because I've had an opportunity to witness some of the things that work and some of the things that don't work so well.
Sure.
You know, there's a lot of voices that don't make it to the table. You know, I think issues that you don't really understand unless your feet are sort of on the ground doing the work. So yeah, it's, you know, I felt like, okay, this is a right time for me to go forward, and you know, and we'll see how it goes. Yeah,
well, I was gonna say, and you see, you know, now as you know, you start looking around at some of the projects that are going on in and around Corvallis and some of the what are like hot topics and stuff. I mean, where do you if you, I mean, I was gonna say, what's your top three?
Well,
but
let me
that's,
tell you.
Okay.
So actually, my top one is we have to work on workforce housing.
Yes.
We just have to address this because I employ young professionals. I know the school district does, the hospital, the medical system.
There's nowhere to live. They can't afford to live.
So it's a challenge, and you know we've got 21,000 cars driving in and then out of Corvallis every day.
Is it really that many?
Yeah. So again, if you want to talk about greenhouse gas and what's the environmental impact of that, you know we got to solve this problem. So that's one of the main things. You know, there's a group of people and there's some good energy on working on houselessness and low income, but the piece that really gets left out of the conversation is kind of that middle income workforce housing. So, you know, looking at the numbers of school-age kids that are declining, so Corvallis School District numbers are declining, and they're predicted to decline for the next 10 years. And what I'm learning from Superintendent Noss is they can't get people.
No.
So how do you hire a teacher and then have them come in and try to purchase a $600,000 house?
Yeah.
And that would be a bargain, right? So anyway, that's like my main thing that I want to work on. And you know, county commissioners, they don't work on housing in the city, but they certainly can kind of help with some of that, you know, surrounding area land that can be annexed, making sure that you're being smart about what goes around land out in the county, so that when and if it gets annexed in, it makes sense. So that's one of the big things. The other one that we really need to get past is the Justice Center. We have to get that thing built, and I know there's a lot of controversy on it. Just a little, but just go out onto, like, say, Nextdoor and read what neighbors are writing about their concerns, you know, with theft and you know, it's growing, and part of the issue is that we don't have a place to put people when they break the law. We don't have a way to deliver services once you do, you know, get people into the system because they're breaking the law, and oftentimes it's tied to either untreated mental illness or addiction. So if we want to stop the turnstile of, you know, arrest them, release them, arrest them, release them.
That's what it is,
Yeah, we just have to invest in those other services. And of course, you know, my work at the Boys and Girls Club is all about prevention and intervention. So there is, not surprisingly, a tie between, you know, what's happening for adults and what can we do. Now you're kind of past prevention, now you're into intervention. So how do you get those intervention services?
Well, we put out I was going to say a year ago, I think it's a little over a year ago now, we put out a survey from the business community about their, you know, hot topics, and about, you know, at the time it was obviously skewed a little bit more towards the houseless population and how we prevent some of that, and you know, and crime came up, and it's I mean, I feel for, you know, our police department and stuff like, where it is exactly like you said, it's like a catch and release program. I mean, there is no opportunity to get these you know, get the small percentage of negative behaviors out of the way, right? And then treat the rest, right?
And you know, it's not just a Corvallis issue, and it's not a Benton County issue. This is a regional and a state issue. So, you know, we have to. So one of the things that I would work on is how do you form more of like a collaboration, a work group that's broader than just Corvallis or Benton County, because we can't just keep pushing these folks into each other's communities. We really need to understand what's going on here. You know, so how did we end up here? And I'm learning a lot about that. You know, this didn't just happen yesterday. I mean, this goes all the way back to the 80s when Reagan closed all of the mental health hospitals and our divestment in kids and families. And, you know, it's just been like, what do they call that? A death by 1,000 cuts. So, you know, we're
and now we've got to deal with it.
We're feeling the impact of that. And so then the other one that, you know, that's really been brought to my attention is the landfill. So I don't know how much you have been hearing about the landfill.
More and more now.
Yeah, I think citizens never like to be surprised. So when folks started reading that, let's be generous, 25% of the waste that's ending up in the Coffin Peak landfill is coming from Benton and Lynn counties, I think community members were shocked. I think the other thing they were shocked about, that if the expansion for the landfill would have been approved, it would have taken all of the caps off of how much Republic Services could bring and put into that landfill. So, one, I totally understand that we need a place for our garbage, right? And every time you do that, point at some person, right? 3 fingers for pointing back. So we know Republic Services is not making all of this garbage. That's us. You know, and they're delivering a service on our behalf. So we all need to figure out what we're going to do to reduce waste, because that, you know, that is what's filling up those landfills. I think we also need to be looking again at a regional solution, because that is a regional landfill. So what are we doing together to reduce that? And then the bigger question is, so what happens we still need to figure out the number as to when the landfill is going to be full, right? Because we're hearing different numbers. But let's just say 14. So let's say in 14 years that landfill is full. Then what? So what does Benton County do with a landfill? Because I would imagine that Republic Services business will be done and they will move on
somewhere else.
And then we are left with a landfill that's producing, you know, toxic gas and all that icky stuff, leachate that, you know, comes as garbage is breaking down, and it will become a Benton County issue to deal with, like, in perpetuity. Your kids and their kids. And so, you know, again, from an environmental perspective, where is the conversation in our community about, you know, talk about greenhouse gas, you know, and the things that we could be doing, immediate and local. You know, I think, again, it's a place where we just need to have more conversation. We need to slow it down a little bit, you know, bring in some, you know, third-party consultants to kind of help us figure out, so what do we do with this? And, you know, perhaps we should be thinking about slowing down how much garbage is getting dumped into our landfill until we have a little bit of a longer term plan.
We can do a lot better there for sure.
So, you know, it's controversial, and you know, and then I've talked to different people about, like, bike paths. So there's some interest in, you know, not only the bike path to Albany, you know, from Corvallis to Albany, but, you know, where are there recreational paths, you know, out towards, you know, South Benton County, in, you know, doing it in a manner that makes sense. So that we're making sure that we're really honoring and respecting and understanding the concerns and the limitations of our farmers, because we are an agricultural state. But also at the same time, how could we maybe improve some roadways so that, you know, what a great tourism opportunity, right? Bring people in to bike and see different parts of the county.
That would be amazing.
Well, so, you know, that's all. Those are my top 3.
You got your work cut out. It's crazy. Are you enjoying it? I mean, is it? I mean, I don't know if fun is the right. Can anybody? Is it really fun?
You know what I actually like is I've probably had now close to 70 hours of conversations with people, because I have, you know, I interviewed most of the staff at Benton County early, like in December, early January, and then I've been meeting with individuals and community groups and really trying to understand. I spent half a day out talking to farmers in South Benton County to understand their issues, and a farmer who's on the most far eastern part of Benton County, again, to understand their issues. So that part is really really fun because I love to solve problems.
Yeah.
And so for me to really talk and understand all of the different perspectives, because you can't always have just your way.
Well, I was going to ask you, how do you handle, because if you jump into this field,
Yep.
not everyone's going to like you.
No,
not everyone's going to be happy.
Pretty much predict that 50% of the people will not like you, right?
Right.
So, I think...
How do you think you're going to handle that?
Well, those 5 years on school board, when I was on school board, we had to close schools.
It's the worst.
Yeah, so it was a terrible time because we were having some significant financial issues, so we had to be talking about downsizing and cutting, and that was painful.
Yeah.
And you're not in a public position without having alligator skin. So if
you've been prepped.
Yeah, and again, if your intent is to try to do what's best for the community, I think where it gets difficult is when you're talking with people that have super narrow agendas and there's just that, I don't know, inability to flex.
Yeah.
Because again, just life doesn't work like that. So how do you listen for, I call it the gold, right, from both camps? Because there's always great ideas and different perspectives, but as a leader, are you willing to really listen for those different perspectives? And then are you really willing to figure out how do you solve the problem that takes those into account? So
it's the old cliche of having one mouth and two ears, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, it sounds I mean, obviously, we're starting to see the signs pop up. It's getting close or closer.
Yeah.
So no, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we do here on Chamber Chat, I'm sure you've done your research, the dozens of people that watch these things. One of the things we do is a little speed round.
Okay.
So, and I'm going to say, I do ask some travel questions, and I know that you got an RV. You did some traveling.
We do.
Yeah.
We have an RV.
You did some traveling.
Yes,
so,
we did.
Well, let's start with the obvious one then. Coolest place you've ever been?
Oh, that has to be Yellowstone.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
If you've never been,
I have not.
you have to go. It needs to be on your bucket list.
Okay.
And Glacier's really awesome too. So
very, very cool.
Yeah, so put that on your list.
I will. Did you go visit in the RV? Did you go? Is that how you did it? Or
we've done both. So we actually picked up the RV in Florida.
Oh, that's right, you did.
During COVID. So we landed in the place that had the biggest outbreak, right, in 2020.
Let's get out of here.
And then we drove it across country.
Right.
And I got to tell you, I don't ever need to do that again.
No?
And let me tell you, the roads in a large part of the United States are horrible.
Yeah, not good.
Like horrific. I mean, every quarter mile there were blown out tires on the road.
Yeah.
So that's how bad the roads are.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we did that, stopped to some places. We went up to Mount Rushmore, which is,
that's on the list too.
Again, really cool.
Yep.
So that was definitely worth seeing.
What about anywhere in the world, bucket list, somewhere you haven't been that you want to go to?
Tahiti.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
I think you might be the first person to say that one.
Yeah, Tahiti.
How come?
Well, so, here's where you get to learn something about Helen Higgins.
All right.
So when I was a young child,
right,
my mom grew up in the Hawaiian Islands.
Okay.
And so she was a hula dancer. And so as a child, instead of taking ballet, I took hula and Tahitian dancing.
Please tell me there's some video of this somewhere.
There's no video. And I have
I've had it all destroyed.
I have a twin sister, and my twin sister quit after a couple of months, but I stayed with the hula and all of that.
All right.
Anyway, I love the Tahitian music and the dancing, so that was like a place I was like, I just always want to go to Tahiti. It's just,
Is it going to happen?
I don't know. It's a long airplane ride.
It is a long ride.
Yeah, it's like way over there, so I don't know.
When you're traveling cross country in your RV and you want to pull in a movie, your favorite movie of all time.
Yes.
What is it?
Okay, it's Sickeningly Sweet. So I'm a rom-com fan.
Oh no.
I know, I'm sorry. So I, like The Proposal and The Ugly Truth and
The Notebook.
No, that one's too. I don't like the ones that make you cry. I like I like the rom-coms, where it's funny and so.
All right.
I've got kind of a list of about 5 movies that as soon as my husband comes upstairs and he sees it on TV, he just immediately turns around and heads back down to his man cave.
I'm gonna go. Yeah.
I'm
gonna go blow something up.
And I'm like, it's kind of like you and watching Lord of the Rings, okay?
Nice.
Or Harry Potter.
Although a heck of a lot shorter. Not as long as Lord of the Rings.
Exactly. And 18 million people are not going to get killed in the process of, the beginning and end of the movie. So.
No kidding. Have you always been into those movies? when you're not watching a movie and you're going to put on some music, listen to that.
Oh gosh.
What are we listening?
I was actually going to bring you my list of my favorites because I'm infamous for the quirkiness of my favorites list. So,
all right,
so I'm an 80s kid, right? I went to high school in the 80s.
We're doing good so far.
So there's nothing wrong with pretty much anything 80s. And,
bit of hair bands?
Yeah, nothing like super heavy metal, but Journey, Fleetwood Mac.
Oh, okay.
But also, you know, I grew up with I'm the last of 8 kids. So my oldest sister's 13 years older, and I have 5 brothers.
Okay.
So, I was listening to like Three Dog Night and the Beatles, and so, again, for my generation,
you're all over the place a little bit.
Kind of like
that's cool.
Have access to music that most people will go, how do you know those songs? So anyway, I like just a broad mix of music.
That is cool.
If you meet any of my friends from my Rotary Club, they'll tell you that I'm a big fan of Journey and the song Don't Stop Believin'.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with that.
I'm pretty sure there's some video footage of me singing with other Rotarians in a bathtub at a Rotary training event. Don't worry, we were all dressed.
It's like, whoa, that took a turn. I was like, oh, that's
Well, I got to keep it interesting.
Oh, okay.
I mean, come on, Simon. If people have been watching this long, we got to give them something.
No
right?
kidding, no kidding. So you've listened to your music, you watch a movie, Now you're gonna have a meal.
Yeah.
What are you eating? What's your death row meal? That's
my death row meal.
Yeah, your last meal ever.
Oh my gosh.
Come on. What's the perfect? What does that plate look like?
I don't know. I'm kind of like I like anything from pizza and yes, Hawaiian style.
Yep.
There you have it.
Sure.
Fish and chips.
Okay.
Salmon. I love grilled salmon.
There's a lot on this plate. You can't have it all. So what's it got to be?
I know. Well, a little bit of everything.
Okay.
Because variety is the spice of life, right?
All right.
So gotta have a little bit of everything.
Fair enough. Are you a cook? Do you cook?
Yes, I cook.
Okay. Are you good?
I am good. According to my family, they think I'm a good cook. And in fact,
anyone cooking food for you,
they wish that I would cook more.
Right.
Because they're just like, oh man, you're such a great cook. Why don't you do this?
Right.
So,
that's just kissing butt.
Yeah.
They just want you to keep doing it.
They just want me to cook.
Yeah, that's all. That's all.
Yeah.
If you could meet somebody from history, right? Somebody who's not with us anymore, somebody dead.
Yes.
Who would it be? Anybody?
Oh gosh. Well, let's see. Do we go like philosophical and say somebody like Jesus?
Well, so we've had like the good, like Jesus or like Muhammad or someone, or we've also had like I'd like to meet like Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
Like just be like, what?
Yeah.
What happened to you?
Yeah, that probably wouldn't end well.
No. Who do you think?
So I would like that, but also just from personally, I would love to go back and meet my grandfather on my dad's side because he died before I was born.
All right.
So he was a really gifted surgeon. One of those real generous people that would take payment in chickens or eggs or whatever they had. And
healthcare has changed a little.
Yes, he has. He actually was part of setting up the medical school at University of Washington. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. So he's a super interesting guy.
So he's legit.
I just never got to meet him. So
okay, all right. What about a celebrity now? Or doesn't have to be a celebrity. Somebody famous. Somebody who's done
I'll tell you somebody who I have met.
Oh, go on then.
So I actually got to go and play tennis with Chris Everett because I'm a tennis player.
No way.
Yeah, I played collegiate tennis, played for U of O. I'm a Duck, so.
All right, well.
You won't kick me out of your car.
You can't have everything.
But yeah, I got to go down and play in her fantasy camp. So I got to play doubles with Chris Everett and then play against her. It was really fun. She's sassy.
She was legit too. Yeah. I remember her.
Oh yeah, it was great. So that was a lot of fun.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
What's your ideal day off? Doesn't sound like you have many days off, right? Actually,
my ideal day is
remember when you had days off?
Yeah. Well, I love to be outside.
Okay.
So I like to go hiking, biking.
What's it start with?
We have 2 dogs, so get up, have a cup of tea.
Oh, cup of tea, not coffee?
No, I'm not a coffee drinker.
All right, you won me back.
Never became the coffee generation.
You won me back a little bit. All right.
Yeah. So a cup of tea, and I like it with a little half and half and honey. There you go.
None of that's lemon or blackberry teas.
No, it's just black. Chai.
Right.
There you go.
Okay, good.
So do that, then get the dogs all geared up.
Okay.
Head out.
Okay.
Go hike one of the great trails around town.
Okay.
I enjoy puttering in my yard.
Like hours and hours hike? Are you kind of like
kind of like an hour.
That's good.
Hour and a half.
All right.
So I like doing that. I got to tell you, last year I bought an electric bike. I just don't know why anybody would ever again ride a bicycle that didn't have a battery.
I got to play on one of those. Whatever, I know, a couple weeks ago from downtown.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
They're amazing.
I thought it was something like, maybe this is just like for old people or something. No. But I was like, I'll try it anyway.
No. Yeah,
unbelievable.
I live north of town, so up, Sulphur Springs, Lewisburg area, and I work in the Boys and Girls Club. So there's a few hills on the way.
For sure.
And I got to tell you, a couple times I've passed some of those real bike riders, with the Lycra and the whole bit, pumping up Highland Hill, and they're way ahead of me at the start. And there's nothing more satisfying than just pedaling past them, going doo-doo-doo-doo-doo.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they kind of give me a look.
Yeah, you're not a real biker.
I am, probably something.
But I'm gonna be there quicker.
Yeah. And then as I cackle laugh as I pass them.
Right.
Until we get to the downhill, then they just blow by me. So.
Well, that's awesome. Well, hey, wrapping up, last question.
Yeah.
So, last couple of years, I think we can all agree it hasn't been ideal, right? Well, it sucked pretty much. Give me something good that's come out of it. There's got to be that silver lining.
Actually, for me and the work that we've been doing, there was a lot of good that came out of it. Being able to help the community by serving emergency responders and essential workers' children, that was like hard work every day. I can't tell you the number of parents that have told us, we just don't know what we would have done if you guys weren't here. So, and then being able to, have a kind of create a community, a very safe community. We're proud to say we never had a case of COVID that
really
swept through. No, we had 2 kids almost at the year mark that came with COVID that they had picked up over the weekend, but they did not spread it. So
that's awesome.
For something that we started where I had no idea where we were going to get the money, and whether or not I was going to be able to get staffing, because there was a lot of fear. Do you remember the fear?
Oh yeah.
And then making sure that nobody died, because we also did not know just how serious COVID was going to be.
Well, and kids aren't exactly shy about mingling, right? So you don't know who they're bringing it home to. So that's
cool. Thankfully, from day one, I actually had my staff wearing masks. That was before they recommended it. Yep. So we started out with the staff wearing masks, and then it moved to kids wearing masks. So, there's, I ended up with like a little cohort. So I had, I called it my Higgins Hacienda crew. So I, formed, I guess, friendships got much deeper than normally would have. So, there was a lot of generosity. My gosh, just the generosity that was showing up for the work that we were doing. Again, amazingly heartwarming. People delivering my staff sandwiches because they were so appreciative of the work, or the random person that would walk in with their check, the $1,200 or whatever payment from the government. They were like, I don't need this, here, use this for kids. So there was actually a lot of silver lining.
We don't want to go through it again. But there was some good to come out of it.
Yes. Cool. I think we're more resilient. So, and I am an eternal optimist, and I'm telling you that this is how the world is changing. So we need to be more resilient and have the ability to come together and to respond and, to take action in an appropriate way. So,
I love it.
We're ready, I guess. That's the good news, right?
It better be. That better be the good news.
That's the good news.
Well, I want to thank you for sitting in, spending a half hour chatting about stuff. Good luck in your campaigning.
Yeah, thank you.
Obviously, good luck in the Boys and Girls Club.
Absolutely.
Oh, what happens? You're doing one or the other then, right?
So what would happen is if I end up, winning the primary, and then if I end up winning the general, then I would retire from Boys and Girls Club. So they swear me in January of 2023.
Wow.
So I would be helping the club find my replacement, and
you got a big year coming up.
Moving on, so we'll see. So, and tell all your viewers again, if you've made it this far, register to vote.
Yes.
And remember, you can't vote if you're unaffiliated. So you have to be of one of the two parties.
Right.
So if you want to have a voice in all of the primaries that are coming up, because this is important.
Which you should. Yes.
We have a governor. We have a congressperson. We have a Benton County commissioner. We have some important races coming up. So register.
Yeah.
Vote.
Oh, and you're going to see Helen hopefully on an upcoming one of our Coffee and a Candidate.
Absolutely.
Coffee with a Candidate, sorry.
Yeah.
Coming up soon. Yeah, not on. Hopefully not on, or it's gone very badly. It's not a good meeting. Yeah. Well, thank you for spending time with us.
You bet.
And we will see you guys on the next episode of Chamber Chat. See you later.